fmtraining.tv. My name is Margaret. I'll be your broadcast engineer for today. Hello, Ron. How you doing?
Hi, Margaret. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. We're wandering back for another great day of talking about the FileMaker platform and talking in this particular case about integration with WordPress, which has historically been really difficult and is now becoming much easier with our presenter's new tool called CWP Snippets. I'm going to bring up our website real fast. So we do talk about the FileMaker platform 5 days a week. Uh, Basically, we from 1 p.m. PST to 2 p.m. PST is our time slot. We yap about all things FileMaker and all. We got a ton of really cool presenters on. We have many cool presenters coming up. Um, Today, this week, we're on day 3 of building FileMaker WordPress with CWP Snippets. Basically, if you've ever wanted to integrate a WordPress site into your FileMaker database or things like invoices or customer portals or paying through Stripe, this is something that'll help you enormously. There is a free version as well as being a pro version. People who are curious what the payment is, it's like $99. It's per website. But it's like $99 for one website. If you got one website and you want to make your life easier, I would just go ahead and grab it. But there's also a free version you can go futz around with and see if it works for your needs. If you'd like to support the channel, feel free to pick up one of our annual subscription bundles. If you'd like to go try out CWP Snippets, go to CWPSnippets.com and go to download and pricing. You got the lovely free version, which you can go and download. Then you can go figure out the pro versions as you feel like it. So, with that all being said, Ron, I'm going to hand it over to you. What are we doing today?
So, yeah, just as a review, as we talked about, we are talking about CWP Snippets, which is a WordPress plugin, and its primary function is to provide a custom web publishing environment for integrating with FileMaker. So, if anybody's familiar with what a snippet plugin is, a snippet plugin provides a place that you can do your custom coding within your WordPress environment. What CWP Snippets is a snippet plugin plus. It has all of the integration mechanisms to be able to facilitate integrating with FileMaker built into them. So, yeah, so it is available on our site for download. Unfortunately, you can't currently go and look under plugins in the repository. So if you do want to use it, download it, you do have to come to our site to get it until such time as we can get WordPress to put us in the repository. This is the only place that you can get it. So, and as Margaret talked about, we have a free version that you can do a lot with. And then we have a pro version that unlocks extra tools and makes your life a whole lot easier. So that's just the overview of what we're doing. And let's see. I'm going to grab our demo website that we're looking at this week. And what we've done is we've done a whole lot of integrations to integrate FM Starting Point with a demo website. So we're actually showing some real examples of how to use the CWP snippets with FM Starting Point. Yesterday, we went over how to do online invoicing and payment processing directly connected to FM Starting Point. Today, we're going to be focusing on a customer portal. And so here's our login. And what we've done is we've created a customer portal connected to FM Starting Point, and we are pulling all of this data directly from our demo version of FM Starting Point. So as we go through the customer portal, we can look at, we have a dashboard that we've built, the accounts page, and it pulls in all this information. And again, that's coming directly from the accounts layout. And pulling all of our, we're going to be looking at contacts, estimates, invoices, projects. We're not pulling products into the customer portal because that wouldn't be the place for that. But we've tried to style it and structure it to work very much like FM Starting Point. So for instance, here, when you see your list of contacts and you go to a contact detail page, we can do the same thing within our portal. And we can go to our contact detail page. Let me grab my record here and we'll take a look at, go back to accounts, contacts, and we'll take a look at the detail page here. And so we have all of the same stuff. We have the contact information. We have notes that's pulling from the notes portal. We have the ability to edit this contact right from here. So I can come in here and change my name to just Ron Cates, for instance. And if I come down here and save those changes, that is, tell me I'm not. Okay, so the demo gods are already at it today. Let's try. I know we tried this yesterday. We were able to select a different photo. There we go. And then we can crop a photo right from here. And when we save the change, it actually gets put right into the FileMaker database. So let's just choose one that's a little bit more obvious and do a save photo. And then when we come to the FileMaker database, there's our photo in the container. Let's take a look at editing the account and see if that works any better. Let's call it Lucky Design 1. Save changes. Okay, so our change saved on that one. Our contacts page has a little glitch in it. So we'll have to take a look at that. But so if we go back to accounts, we can see that we've changed our information. So it's directly pulling and editing data directly from FileMaker. Some of the other things that we've got, like I was mentioning, we have our estimates. And when we go to estimates, we can see that it's already been turned into an invoice. This estimate has, so we can go directly to the corresponding invoice. And on the invoices page, we actually have payment processing enabled, so we're able to run a payment. So let's go look at the invoices list and just we come to an invoice from here. So this would be from the perspective of a customer logging into their own account, seeing that they have an invoice that needs to be paid. And then right from here, they can process that payment. And now it shows that $1,397 has been paid, and that is reflected in the invoices. So if we go to invoices and look to this invoice, we can see that we've got $1,397 paid. It's added a payment record, and it's run a script to update the amount due within FM starting point. So then we have a projects page. All of them have edit pages. Well, I guess we didn't do a project edit page yet. So that's what we're going to go over today, and we're going to talk a little bit about how we have put that all together.
Okay, because that's awesome. Like having an entire customer portal that's just like completely integrated with your backend FileMaker database like that is fantastic.
Yeah, that's one of the main objectives for building this was, thinking about the fact that in today's world, everybody has a customer portal. Like no matter what company you deal with nowadays, you've got a login, and you go and you log into your account and you have access to your records and all that kind of stuff. So if you're managing your business with a FileMaker database, that has not been traditionally an easy thing to do. And so we've tried to set up the tools in place to make that something that
is a lot more manageable.
right, and a lot more something that can be accomplished.
Okay,
So
so
coming
yeah,
into
that's super cool. So how do I go about doing this? If I want to do this myself, where do I begin?
So coming into our WordPress admin, what we've done is looking at CWP Snippets, in our snippets list, we have all of these snippets that are part of the portal. And we've got them all working and interacting together. I don't need this copy anymore. And so we have several pages to our account, but we're really only using 2 WordPress pages. So if we go over to pages, we've created account login. And in account login, we've dropped in our shortcode that pulls in the login card. And so that's
Okay.
where it gets pulled into the page.
Is
So
the login connected explicitly to FileMaker? So how is the
yes,
login
the
part
login,
connected to
yeah,
FileMaker?
that's what I'm going to go over all that. So,
Okay.
and just to kind of demonstrate, if we go to CWP Snippets and we go to our account, our portal login, if we were to deactivate that snippet and refresh our page, we'll see that this is where the snippet is being pulled in.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to reactivate that. And so the other page that we created is the account page. And so under pages, the account page is just, there's, oops, oh, that's the editor is automatically redirecting me, so I can't look at the account page unless this is some of the fun stuff that you got to kind of do. So if I want to look
Get
at the
used
account
to.
page, yeah, if I want to look at the account page, one thing I can do is deactivate the snippet. Now I can go to the page because the snippet is automatically detecting that I wasn't logged in and sending me over to the login page. So now that it's deactivated, I can go to account login. Oops, I meant to go to account, not account login. Sorry about that. Jump back to pages. So now I can go to account.
I think half the confusion of working with WordPress is knowing what page you should be looking at things on.
Yeah, it's still kind of wanting to redirect me. It should be deactivated. But what we've done is we've created one page in WordPress that pulls in, oh, I remember what it is. I'm sorry. And this is kind of goes to the conversation. We put a snippet, a short code to pull in this snippet, the portal router. So this is directing our traffic when we get to the account page. So if I were to just deactivate this snippet and then go to pages, now I can open up my account page in the editor. And we can see that there's our snippet. And that's all there is on this page is that short code. So we're just taking a blank page and we're putting our short code in there for our router.
So on the WordPress side, make sure I understand things. Basically, most of what you're going to be doing to like actually put your features on the page is just dropping in the short codes that have all the snippets attached to them.
Exactly. So we create a
Okay.
snippet, we copy the short code for the snippet, and then we just go to a WordPress page and we drop it into a short code element, or you can drop them into any other text block or anything like that, and it'll pull in the code from there.
Got it.
Yeah. So now that we've done that, and now let's kind of talk about what we're doing here. So for the customer login, what we've done is we've added a couple of fields and a script to our FM starting point. So we've created a login system that includes being able to reset your password, receive a code by email, and get an authentication code and everything. So we've added a few fields, which is verification code, the expiration of the verification code, and this is where the hashed password gets saved once we create it. So the only thing we're storing for a password in FileMaker is a hash of the password that we create. So this is not human readable, and nor can we decipher it from here within FileMaker. So,
Yeah, I have no idea what that would say.
okay. Well, it really just comes down to the fact that you don't want to store a password that's human readable. So we've got to
Yes.
have some kind of way to make it uh, obscured, encrypted. So, and then we've added a script, API login, and this script is the control center that takes uh, our input from the WordPress website, and then we decide how to proceed. So let's kind of walk through what this is doing. So to begin with, let's start with as if there was not a password already created for my account. So what I could do is do create or reset password. And then when I enter my email, what it's going to do is run a find for the email field on the account. And that's happening in the FileMaker script. So our login page is working entirely in a FileMaker script. So it's not pulling data from FileMaker. It's sending a script request. It's running a script from within WordPress. It's running the script in FileMaker, and then the script returns a result back to the website. So when I hit send reset code, that's running our login script. And in our login script, we have it scripted to create the reset code when the action is get code. So it comes to this script, it sees that we've sent the action get code, and it just simply sets a random code, and then it sends an email to send our code to us. And rather than waiting for that email to come in, I'm just going to go to my login page and see this is where we've set the code. And we've given it an expiration, so we're only allowing it to be good for 10 minutes or something like that. I don't remember what I set it to. So now back on our page, we enter our code. And when we send the verification code, again, we're running the script and we're validating that code. And in the database, it's actually, once it's validated, it removes it and removes the expiration. And now we're ready to set our password.
This is really cool. You have an entire verification system integrated with FileMaker. I would usually expect this to be a giant pain in the butt to get going
Yeah.
if you wanted it to
And I'm
work.
going to remove the password that's already saved here so that we can show when we run the script to create the password. And I'm not going to update that. Then it creates the password and it does automatically go ahead and log us in and send us to the dashboard. So if we go back to our database, we can see the new password has been saved as a hash. So now what's happening when we successfully log in is that it is actually grabbing the account primary key and it is saving it to a transient cookie, so to speak, in the website. So that when we get to our dashboard,
Mm-hmm.
our router snippet, one of the first things it does is we'll look a little bit at the code. So one of the first things our router snippet does is um, detect whether we're logged in, and then it takes the account ID uh, and it looks up our account record. So once it determines that we're logged in, then it does a find for the account record based on the account primary key. And then it pulls in all this data. So,
Interesting.
so
And then I assume that once the session ends, it drops the key out of the cookie.
yep, yep. And the session, you can set the session to last 6 months or one day or whatever setting that you want to set it to. So we've actually built this portal with a portal settings page.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're able to do is we
Oh,
can enable or disable invoices. So for instance, if we disable projects and we come back to our page and refresh, our projects menu item disappears.
that's nice.
So we've set it up to be able to enable and disable different things. Our FileMaker configuration, we put the name of the login script here, and this is
Mm-hmm.
where we set our duration. So this is basically set for 6 months, but we can set it to whatever duration in minutes that we want to, or seconds. So, and then
That's really nice because that this little UI means you don't have to go through and actually alter the snippet directly, I assume.
Right. And yeah, and that's one of the things that, the pro version allows us to do. So all of this stuff that we've done with this customer portal can be done with the free version. But the pro version allows us to expand on that and create things like the portal settings and write functions that create the settings page to allow us to have all of this user interaction instead of having to hand code all these settings. So we can set our login page and our portal page, and all of these settings are set right here. And then, of course, any of the snippets that we build, we also build in documentation. So if we were to provide this to somebody else, they'd already have the documentation, or when we come back to use it. And we've got, a number of websites that have uh, customer portals and many of the other functionalities that we've provided with CWP snippets. So this is how we build it for ourselves. Because when we go back to the website, now it makes it easier for us to manage. So we tend to do this. We even do all our documentation and everything for projects of our own. We want to have all this documentation for our own benefit. Because as we all know, as a developer, you can come back 2 weeks later and completely forget what you've done. And especially when it
Yes,
comes
that's
to this.
very easy. Like even with all the
Yeah.
commenting in the world, you're still like, what was I doing? What
Yeah.
happened?
It's like looking at a script in FileMaker and saying to myself, what was 6 months ago Ron thinking? Like, why did I do it this way 6 months ago when I wrote it? And then I have to kind of backtrack it all. But um, so, as I said, when we arrive at the dashboard, what we're looking at is we're looking at our dashboard page, but we got there because we have a portal router. And the portal router takes all of our requests and determines what page we want to show. And the way it does that is by when it determines the page, we use, I'm looking for, let's see if I can find it. CWP do, how did we do that? CWP underscore do shortcode. Okay, let's try. Oops, didn't want to do that.
I do appreciate the amount of commenting this has.
Yeah.
I'm
And if
reading
I
this
slow
and being
down and
able to
read
follow around a little
if
bit,
I,
even though I have
yeah,
never worked really very much inside of this language.
if I'd slow down and read the commenting, I could probably find what I'm looking for. And what I'm looking for is that we have a built-in function in CWP snippets called do shortcode. CWP do shortcode, I think is what we called it. Um,
Okay.
and, and so what it does is the same thing that we're doing when we put the shortcode in the WordPress page.
Mm-hmm.
It's now embedding like a nested shortcode. So when we
So
click
multiple short codes inside of other short codes. Is that how you
right,
get the portal to work, is what you're telling me?
yes,
Okay.
that's how we get, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually did I think we reactivated our projects, so so we've got like 6 pages, 1, 2, 3, well, five or 6 pages. Well, plus we have the details pages of everything. So we've got probably a dozen or more pages that build this account portal, but we're only using one WordPress page to do it. So, and if you ever work in WordPress, you'll understand the beauty of that is that I don't have to create 12 separate pages for my portal. I can create one page for my portal, and no matter where I go in the portal, I'm always accessing the account page, and I'm just sending a parameter of what page I want to view. And that's where the router comes in. the router then uses do shortcode to embed the proper shortcode into the snippet, the router snippet. So just kind
Okay,
of
that
an,
makes sense.
yeah,
That's a cool, I didn't, that's, it's a cool way of doing it. Okay.
yeah. So it's basically in an effort to just plan out and structure and organize how we've built all this in a way that allows us to minimize the clutter on the WordPress side by not having a dozen pages to go with a dozen snippets. We now just have to have the one page and we can route to all the different snippets from within that same page. So, so that's what our portal router does. And we do have snippets for each of the pages, but the portal router is actually running the shortcode for each of the pages as we request them. So I've already talked about our portal settings. Let's see if there's any other fun settings we can play with. Our API login script. Let's see if we can take a look at some of our snippets, like the portal login snippet, and just kind of show where all of the magic is happening. So we talked about the session that we're creating, and when we do log out, all we do is destroy that session so it automatically detects and comes back to our login page. And when we log in, um, this is where we're actually telling the FileMaker script to run.
Okay.
Yeah. So essentially, we've got script parameters or the parameters for running the script, which is different
Okay.
than the script parameter. The parameters for running the script is, well, I'm sorry, this is the script parameter. The parameter from is like the script name is part of the actual parameter for running the script. But we're including script parameters like action and email. So we're sending the email and we're telling it what action. And so based on um, the action that we've chosen tells it how to build the script parameter. So we're actually we only have one place in this code that runs the FileMaker script. What we're doing the rest of the way is we're uh, using different criteria to build the parameter to send to the script so that we don't have to have a bunch of different copies of set file or run script. We just have to have a place where we can just adjust the parameter based on whether we're getting the code, entering the code, uh, doing the login, or resetting our password. All of those things are different calls to the script, but we just change the script parameter that gets sent to the script. So
Okay. Can you rehash that for me again? Because I don't think I completely followed.
the heart of this login is that we are
Mm-hmm.
running the FileMaker script. When we
Yes.
run the FileMaker script, we're sending different parameters depending on what we're doing. So
Okay. So it'd be that would be coming from the FileMaker end, right? Like the script parameter chunk of the script.
we're sending the script parameter, right? We're talking about the FileMaker script parameter.
Okay.
So we're setting the script parameter that we want to send to the script, just like any button in FileMaker has the ability to add script parameters.
Mm-hmm.
The run script um, function in CWP Snippets has the ability to include script parameters. And that's
Okay,
all
which
part
is
of
really
the,
nice. So you can do a
yeah,
lot with that. Okay.
yeah. And that's all part of the FileMaker Data API. So I guess we can talk a little bit too about what is it that CWP Snippets is doing. And what that is CWP Snippets, aside from providing the coding environment to be able to write all this stuff, is it's on the back end, it's creating the mechanism for being able to use the data API. Uh, so one of the things over the years with using the data API, the whole thing with using the data API is there's this whole complicated structure of having to request a token from your FileMaker server and then get the
Mm-hmm.
token back from the server and then pass the token in your function calls and things like that. What's included with CWP snippets is a class of functions um, that handle all of that token management for you. So CWP snippets manages all the token stuff. You don't even have to think about that. And the way it does it is that it when any of these functions run, it actually calls our class FMCWP snippets, and that opens the connection and gets the token and brings it back. Then it saves it to the WordPress database as a transient so that every call subsequently can reuse that same token.
Okay.
So,
And the
so
token lasts how long again?
15 minutes, I think.
Got it.
I'm pretty sure it's 15 minutes. So what's the whole point of that? The whole point of that is that whenever a web page loads and let's go ahead and log in. When this web page loads and it's making a call to FileMaker, it's establishing a connection to FileMaker. I like to think of it as on your FileMaker server, it's like it's opening an invisible instance of FileMaker Pro on your server. You get what I'm saying with that? So when we
Try me
make a
again.
call, okay. So when we make a call to FileMaker, say we're
Hmm.
doing a call to FileMaker to run a find request.
Yes.
The first thing that happens is that it opens that connection and it goes to the layout that we've specified so that it
Okay.
can run that request. Well, in order to
Okay.
do that on the server itself, it's basically spinning up an instance of FileMaker Pro.
So it's
That's
like
not
PSauce.
right, exactly like PSauce.
Okay.
So, and so that's not 100% accurate way of what's happening, but when I think of it that way, it makes it easier for me to understand what's going on. So when we make the call with the data API and it opens up that invisible FileMaker Pro, it runs our find and then it returns the data back to us. If we're not using the same token the next time. So in other words, if I refresh this page or I go to another page and I make another call to FileMaker, if I'm not managing that token and reusing it, it's opening up another connection every time a page loads. So as we're navigating around this website, if we weren't managing that token and reusing it, we would be opening a new connection every time we opened a new page or every time we loaded a page. So as you can imagine, if you've got a number of people coming to your website and doing these and navigating around your website, you could easily open up hundreds of connections, and the vast majority of which are not being used because we're not reusing connections. So it's opening a connection for every single call.
Okay.
So with the token, it allows us to reuse that connection. So it doesn't have to open a new connection. It doesn't
Yes,
have
because
to.
FileMaker server can only handle so many of those, I'm pretty sure.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's part of the heart of what CWP Snippets does is manage those connections. And that way, and the way it does that is like, so when I connect, it's going to open a connection for me. When you
Hmm.
come to the website, it's going to give you a unique ID and open a connection for you. So you're continuously reusing your own connection while I'm continuously reusing my connection.
It's basically like you're a long distance user of FileMaker. The same effect is happening if I was wandering around the database, altering and adding information. It's not like I have 100 windows open, different connections. I have
Exactly.
one database screen that I move around in. Okay, that makes
Exactly.
sense.
Yeah. And it would be even more like instead of having a bunch of windows open, it would be like having a bunch of instances of FileMaker open.
That would
Like,
be even worse.
yeah, that would be crazy.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this is how we reduce the performance hit on FileMaker with CWP snippets is by managing and reusing those tokens. And so throughout the years of integration with FileMaker, going way back to when there was the uh, PHP API and the XML API, and then eventually there was the FileMaker Data API. There have been many other companies out there that have provided like a class is what it's called, and it's a group of PHP functions that manage the tokens. In the case of the data API, back when it was PHP API, there weren't tokens, but in the case of the data API, they manage the tokens and then provide you with um, the functionality. So in our CWP class, FMCWP, all of these functions are written into that class so that when you call a function like getRecord, it simplifies that whole process of just having to be able.
Okay.
So in order to
I think
get a
that's
record,
enormous.
yeah. So in order to write this without the class that we've provided, you'd have a whole lot more coding involved to be able to go and get the token, bring it back, manage the token, construct the call to FileMaker, manage the parameters, and all of that stuff would all be like separate coding. So we've built that all into a function, like in this case, a function called get records that does all that for you. So all you have to do is send it the parameters and use get records, and CWP snippets handles the rest. So that's kind of the core of what makes CWP snippets an integrated tool and what it does that you can't do with any other snippet plugins, because all that stuff is included and built into the CWP snippets. So
Okay, that makes sense. That's actually really awesome. Because like that's stuff I hadn't even thought about that would have obviously come up if I was trying to roll this by myself. All the little dumb things you're like, oh no, I can't do that. It was
yeah,
like really silly examples that I once wrote a piece off inside of a loop. It's a bad idea. Uh,
yeah, yeah. And all of this came about because of my own personal experience when I first decided I wanted to integrate FileMaker with a website. And originally, it wasn't even a WordPress website, it was just a regular website outside of WordPress. Trying to learn the learning curve to be able to just make the connection and make the calls to FileMaker was daunting. It was really, it was very complex to try and figure out how to do all that stuff. Um, so I was able to, as I was saying, there are a number of companies. Blue Feather had FMPDA. Um, uh, I know there's a number of other companies that have provided to the FileMaker community these pre-wrapped functions and classes for being able to manage all that. And so that was the first thing that made it a whole lot easier to work with any of the APIs, was the generosity of the FileMaker community, and the people that put these things together so that you could utilize them. Eventually, I ended up settling on using FM Restore that's provided by 24U. And if anybody has ever used FM Restore, they'll see a lot of similarities in the structure of our functions. Because when I first started building this, I wanted to take existing code that I wrote with FM Restore and have it be able to easily port over to CWP snippets without me having to change all the code. So it kind of is modeled after FM Restore. But
okay, that's actually that's good to know. It's good to understand how these things kind of come about because it's all the aggregate of experience that drops you where you're at.
yeah, and it was really my motivation for building this thing and the way I've built it. I've touched on in the last couple of days. One of the reasons why I built this with all of these templates and with a demo setup so that you can have a sandbox to play in, and all of that kind of stuff is because I really want this to be as much a tool for learning as it is, a production tool, a tool that somebody can download and install on their own WordPress website, or they can spin up like we've done in our demos, spin up one on your local computer, using local WordPress, and just have a playground where you can go in and you can experiment um, with building the coding. So one of the things that's fun to do just for experimenting, if we go back to our templates, we can start to understand the way the FileMaker array or the data is returned in the array. So when we look at our preview here, this is what comes back from FileMaker. And so, it takes a little bit of understanding how this works. This is a PHP array, which in its structure is pretty much like JSON. So it works so much the same as JSON that learning how to drill down into this array to grab the code that you want to grab is extremely similar to just pulling data from JSON. So, for instance, if I wanted to drill down and just show the data from the response, I can come into my snippet and I can do response data. And then now I'm drilled down in and just showing the data element. And then I can, if I've got multiple records, I can specify which record I want to pull the data from. So in this case, I can do 0 field data. Let me double check that. Yep. Let's grab this and just make sure I've got the right. Oops. What did I not format that correctly? Let's try just. Oh, that was the problem. Missed a square bracket.
Oh, that's always the sort of thing that gets you in the end. It's nothing like ever major. It's just there's a missing quote or missing square bracket or
Yeah. And the funny thing is this is one of the reasons we've built all kinds of tools in here to catch those things. So if I'd have just looked, it told me that I had a syntax error. So this is part of the stuff that's built into CWP snippets so that when you're coding, it will actually examine your code and look for errors so that you don't have to actually go over here to find it. You can see as soon as you save it that there's an error, and then you can come back in and fix it. So now we've drilled down to where we've just gotten the field data, and these are all the fields on our layout. So now we can start to pull just the field we want. So we can come in here. And now we're going to get company. So this is how we work with the data that FileMaker returns. And this environment with these with these samples and templates gives you a place where you can go and play around with that and learn how to do that. This was very valuable. It's funny, I should say this. Like when I built this whole environment to be able to learn and be able to do this stuff, it was before AI hit the scene over the last couple years. So I had to manually learn how to write all the code. But nowadays, where we have AI, I can just copy all this data and feed it into AI and tell it, build me a page, like we showed yesterday. We did successfully show yesterday that we built an invoice out of our data. And so it becomes less necessary to learn all this stuff, but it's still
well,
important to
you
learn all this stuff.
well, you still have to know at least some so you can know how to bug fix.
Yeah. Yeah. When working with AI, like it's a catch-22. Yes, I can ask AI to build these pages, and I don't necessarily know how to code to do it. But if I'm not capable of reviewing that code and making sure that AI is using security best practices and structuring things the way I want it to be structured. And in many cases, as a matter of fact, I was doing some development earlier today. And before we started the show, I kind of mentioned to you that AI was having a bad day today. I had fed it a response from FileMaker, and it repeatedly was incorrectly pulling the data the way I just showed you. It was not drilling down correctly. And it took about 12 tries for it to recognize where it was going wrong. And I I would have been able to see that if I was reviewing the code instead of just 100% relying on AI. I would have been able to see that pretty quickly. So it's hit or miss some days. Working with AI is really temperamental sometimes.
Yes,
So
which is, yeah, people are like, oh, it's going to steal all of my jobs. No,
yeah.
I don't think it can.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, before, I think at some point, like, I think all of us developers are kind of going through a lot of fears about AI and whether it's going to replace us and we're not going to have jobs because AI can do all our development. And the bottom line is, I don't think we're going to get there anytime soon because AI is a tool. It's like AI is like having a junior developer that's a real whiz. But when you have a junior developer that's a real whiz, sometimes they miss the fundamentals. And sometimes they need a lot of guidance. They've got a lot of knowledge on how to write the code, but they need a lot of guidance on the proper way to structure it and things like that. So I guess it's kind of like that. It can definitely be a challenge. So
Yes, no,
that's
yeah, I worked with it on and off, and then we've had a lot of streams on like why it causes issues. Anyway, so what are we
yeah.
looking at now?
So I was just going back to our snippet list, and
hmm
that pretty much was just covering some of the technical behind the scenes of what the CWP Snippets plugin does. Um,
hmm
do we have any questions from anybody? Is there
There
any?
was a really great comment, which you're gonna give me a second. I got them pulled up. Okay. We have the plugin implemented on a few sites. It is wonderful. We encourage everyone to get a pro license. It is well worth the nominal cost. And now seeing these new features, we are very excited and wonder what the estimated timeline is to be able to download the customer portal code from the library.
Well, that's a good question. Um, the short answer is I'm not sure, but one of the things that with the complexities of the customer portal makes it a little difficult to have it to do a version that's ready right out of the box. So be able to just download and put in place. Now, what we've built here for FM starting point, uh, I don't know. I guess one of the things that would become a question in my mind is what are the ramifications of if we were to try and distribute these snippets for FM starting point as far as clashing with RCC and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know what those answers are. So I don't know if we're going to be able to provide this as a download for people or not. I guess we'll have to kind of talk about that. uh,
Yes, I think that would be a good discussion, to be honest with you.
yeah.
So,
Um, yeah.
so real quick, how many snippets does it take to get the portal working completely?
Essentially, it starts with the three main
Mm-hmm.
snippets: the login snippet, the
Mm-hmm.
router snippet, and the dashboard. So that gets you the bare basics of providing a login, looking up the account, and giving you a starting point. And then from there, it's whatever pages you want to provide within the portal. So now, for each of for instance, when we go to the account page snippet also includes the edit and all that. So we're not doing a separate snippet for each of the functionalities in there, like the different views. Same thing with the if we go to invoices, the invoice snippet provides the invoice list view and the invoice detail view. So these are not two separate snippets for invoices. This is one snippet for invoices. So essentially, I think what did we show? We had, so we've got the account, the contact page is its own snippet because contact has its own detail and edit view. Estimates. Oh, I'm sorry. The estimates list is separate. The estimate and estimate list are two separate snippets. Same thing with
Okay,
voices. So
got it.
my bad.
No, I mean they're both named so wait, what does the estimate do versus the estimates again? Sorry.
Estimates plural is the list of
Hmm.
estimates.
Oh,
Estimate
okay.
singular is
It's
the
like the
detail
data entry
page.
screen. Okay,
The
got it.
detail, yeah, the single view. So yeah, I got a little off track on that one. I thought we had built them into a single snippet, but no, we have a different snippet for the list. But it could be easily done that way. You know, we could easily have built that into a single snippet for estimates, a single snippet for invoices, a single snippet for accounts. So a lot of this stuff, to be honest with you, a lot of this stuff we are rapidly learning as we go. You know, we're coming up with new use cases week after week and paving the ground for how we're going to do these things. Um, a lot of that is reflected in the snippet library because as we've come up against these different use cases, that's where we've developed these different snippets. And so everything that you see in the snippets library, oops, I got an image broken there. Everything you see in the snippets library is something that we've built because we needed it. We had a use case for it, and so we built it. And then we took it and we said, you know, we can provide this so somebody else doesn't have to write it from scratch. And there probably could be an argument made for the fact that maybe we're giving away too much because we'd be happy to be hired to build this stuff. But I don't know. It's just, this is what I like to do. I like to share what I'm learning, share what I'm building. When I build something that I feel like, oh, this is so cool, I want other people to benefit from it too. So this is kind of how I operate. Um, one of these days, maybe I'll figure out where the line is between giving away the farm and sharing.
Yes, understandably so. Well, I mean, I don't know. A lot of the Fabric community has been built on people sharing stuff with each other. So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there
uh,
will always be a place where I want to share things, definitely. And then, you know, that's I look, I love FileMaker. I love developing, I love building in FileMaker. I love learning and sharing and doing all of these things. And I love it a whole lot more than I love money. So if you ask my wife, that might be a detriment because I probably, I'm a lot more focused on building and learning and sharing than I am in making money. And our income kind of reflects that. But, you know, it's why I love what I do every day. That's why I'm here because I love what I do every day. And if I was, you know, more focused on loving making the money, then I wouldn't be me. So.
yes, uh, understandably so. This has been awesome. Do you have anything else you want to show us before we wrap up? Or
I think that's about it for today. That pretty well covers
it's an
the
awesome feature. This is super cool. Like I want to go
yeah.
play with
So we can talk briefly about what we're going to go over tomorrow.
it.
So
Yes. What are we doing?
today we focused on customer portals, which again, I think is one of just the major needs that, especially as FileMaker developers with a FileMaker database that we're managing all our customers and accounts and all of that stuff with. And the fact that um, customer portals are just expected nowadays. Anybody, any account that you have that you can think of, there's probably very few of them that you don't have a place that you can go to log in and look at your account and do those
Yeah,
things.
that's a good point. Like I haven't thought about it that way before, but you're totally right. That's like default expectation as
Yeah,
the current.
it really is. So that was one of our big focuses was trying to provide, a customer portal. But the other thing, of course, is shopping carts because e-commerce and, being able to provide products on the web managed from your FileMaker database, that's the focus of tomorrow. So we've built a shopping cart that pulls directly from the products that are here in the FM starting point. And we've built a system that, with a shopping cart where you can add items to your shopping cart.
Hmm.
And then we can go and view our cart and, and then
That'll be awesome
we go
because
back.
trying to do this without something like this would be a giant
Yeah.
pain.
And pretty much, one of the things that I think most of us have done, and especially any of us that are doing any kind of um, FileMaker integration type work, uh, what we've run into is we've had to integrate with WooCommerce, and we've had to navigate WooCommerce with it, which is enormously complex, especially in its back-end programming and things like that. And so WooCommerce provides the ability to do webhooks where you can use a
Hmm.
webhook to send the data, through Claris Connect or AutoFMS has a webhook system that you can set up and send your data from WooCommerce to AutoFMS, which can then send it to your FileMaker database. But the end result is that you're managing that data in two different places. You've got your database in WooCommerce on the website, and then you've got your database in FileMaker. And now the complexity of trying to keep those two synced up is, really where it gets convoluted and it gets really complex complicated. So
Yes.
what we've done is we've built a shopping cart that takes WooCommerce completely out of the mix, and everything is managed directly in the FileMaker database. The products are pulled from the FileMaker database. We create our shopping cart and we add our items to our shopping cart. And when we go to checkout, and we actually fill out our checkout form, and the same as billing. Oops, sorry, that's my email.
No, you're good.
This is where I go too fast.
Well, you gotta rush to get to the good bit.
Yeah, exactly. And now I'm going to say that my developer partner here in the office, Alex, is the one that has been in charge of building this shopping cart. So I'm going to look to Alex and say, I hope this works, Alex. But when I complete the purchase, it's taking all of the items I selected and it's sending them to my FileMaker database. And now if I go to account, and it should match up with my email address so that it has created, did it? 2-4. So it's created a new invoice. It's added those items to the invoice, and it's also processed the payment and added the payment record into the database. So I've created a whole invoice and order in my FileMaker database from my WordPress shopping cart in CWP Snippets. So we're going to dive into
That's
that tomorrow and maybe,
awesome. That's
yeah,
gonna be so cool.
yeah. So we're going to dive into that tomorrow and maybe start pulling that apart, kind of the same way that we did the customer portal today and see where we get with that. So that's tomorrow's plan.
Okay, I'm excited for that.
Sounds good.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Ron. I'm gonna run the music and I will see all y'all tomorrow.
All right. Have a wonderful day.
Bye, everybody.